Welcome to the Socialette podcast, where we empower you with the marketing know-how you need to create the business of your dreams. I'm your host, Steph Taylor, and I'm a marketing nerd, Shiraz lover, and passport stamp collector. Join me as I dive into all things small business marketing and deliver them to you in bite-sized, fluff-free lessons every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Let's get learning. Hey, welcome to episode 25 of the Socialette podcast. Today, we're looking at where you should source your Instagram images from. Last episode, we looked at what you should actually post on Instagram, and that was more focused on what your content should be more generally about. This episode, we're looking at where you can find the images to post on Instagram, if you're not particularly handy behind the lens. While I usually recommend you create at least some of your own content, I understand that for a lot of businesses, creating their own images can be a real struggle. Later this week, I'll be looking at how you can take better Instagram photos, even if all you have is an iPhone camera. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Right now, let's look at where you can curate Instagram images from. First up, stock photo websites. This is probably where we get the majority of our client curated Instagram content from these days. They're usually quite high resolution, and you can avoid any nasty copyright or licensing issues, which can arise if you use photos from other sources without permission. There are also some really good free stock photo websites like Unsplash and Pexels, and some amazing paid ones, which I will list out in the show notes at stephtaylor.co/25. The cons are that the free stock photos have often been done to death, and you can spot them a mile away, but there are still lots of gems to be found out there. Secondly, from Instagram accounts. You have to be careful here because simply adding a credit to your post doesn't stop it from being a copyright infringement. In practice, I know everyone does it, but all it takes is one person to decide they want to make an example out of you. So to cover your bum, just reach out and ask for permission first. And make sure that the credit is visible, not hidden in the hashtags or in the first comment. The content creator went to the trouble to take that photo and edit it. The least you can do is be respectful and thank them and show them that you appreciate their hard work. Before we get to number 3, I just want to quickly tell you about my free Instagram cheat sheet, 7 savvy strategies to ignite your Instagram. It's packed with tips on how to up-level your Instagram and start building an audience of people who care about your business and aren't just following you so that you'll follow back and they can grow their following. Download it for free from stephtaylor.co/25. All right, number 3, Creative Market. If you're looking for cool Instagram graphics and templates, Creative Market is probably my go-to for these. I'll link to it in the show notes for you as well. Most of the templates here are in Photoshop or Illustrator format, but there are more and more popping up in Canva format. So just make sure you double check before downloading that they're in the right format for you. Some of the templates are even worth learning how to use Photoshop for. Like there are some really cool animated ones and some really awesome quote graphics. If you're looking for a simpler alternative, definitely check out the Canva templates. Which brings me to number 4, Canva. Canva's social media templates are pretty decent considering that they're free. You can even create your own just with their shapes and their patterns all built in. I recommend updating the fonts and the colors of any of their templates to match your brand look and feel rather than just going with the default colors and fonts, or else you'll look like every other brand out there and your Instagram feed just won't be consistent with your other brand touchpoints. Canva is super easy to use, and if you've listened to this podcast much, you'll know I often rave about it. So check that one out. I will link to that in the show notes as well at stephtaylor.co/25. Number 5, get a branding shoot done. Honestly, I think getting a branding shoot done is one of the biggest things you can do to elevate your business instantly. It shows people that you're professional and that you take it seriously. A branding photo shoot doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg either. If you're on a budget, you could reach out to someone who's just starting out or to a uni student and see what their rate is, as they'll probably be cheaper. My first photo shoot was actually a skill swap where I helped her out with her website and she took and edited some photos for me. So there are plenty of options out there if you're on a budget. A good branding shoot will give you high quality content that you can use for ages, and nobody else will have the same photos. And they don't all have to be of yourself either. They could be of your office space or your desk, even just flat lays of products shot in your style. I know it's probably not the number one priority if you're just starting out, but it should be something you consider. And lastly, should you source Instagram images from Pinterest? Sourcing an image from Pinterest and adding a credit that says via Pinterest or something along those lines is actually a copyright infringement. Similar to sourcing Instagram images, you should be asking for permission from the owner of the image. That's not the person who repinned it, it's the source that the image originally came from. And the problem with Pinterest is that it can be a little tricky tracking down the original source sometimes. We've stopped sourcing client images from Pinterest for this reason, but it's up to you whether you choose to use it or not. And that's it for this episode. Don't forget to download my free Instagram cheat sheet, 7 Savvy Strategies to Ignite Your Instagram from stephtaylor.co/25. And if you head over there, you'll also find the links to all the sources that I've mentioned in this episode, as well as my favorite paid stock photo websites. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any new episodes released every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you're enjoying the show and you've maybe learned a thing or two so far, would you please leave me a rating and a review in Apple Podcasts? All right, catch you next time.